Welcome to Science Wars, chemistry, bio, physics, medical, which field is best? I understand the force and energy, quantum mechanics and relativity. My field is pure and they rely on me.
Hello, in this video I'm going to quickly show you how to take peppered moth data and you are going to graph it using Excel. So let's get started on this. So the first thing you would need to do is download this document to your computer, and then if you can't open it in your computer, make sure you upload it to OneDrive and you'll be able to open it up through OneDrive. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and go to my OneDrive. So it's in my Microsoft, and I would click on OneDrive, which I've already done, and I would have it in my storage spot there, and I would open it by just clicking on it. And so here's the document, and you'll read this this background. And what we need to do is, again, we're going to graph this data here, and then you're going to graph the data that's right below that here, and then you're going to answer these questions in the Excel, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, so let's go ahead and open up an Excel. So I go back to my Microsoft Office, and Excel is the green tab right here, so I click on that. And I'm going to want a blank work page or workbook. So Excel is super powerful. So I'm just trying to expose you to it so you'll get used to using it and not be scared of it. There's so many videos on YouTube if you want to learn more about this, and I highly recommend that you use this wherever you can for lots of different things. Super powerful program. All right, so what we're going to do is we're actually going to do a split screen. So what I found is if you take and you just click on this tab and you just kind of pull it over, it will open it up into its own tab. So I'm going to make that smaller by clicking on the square. So now I have this open, and I'm going to go to my OneDrive. I have that open, and I click on the square. Now I have both of them in the same screen like this. And so I'm going to go to my first graph, make sure this is it, yep. And I'm just going to copy it right here. Okay, so year. And then next to that, I'm going to have the frequency. And I want to make this just so that it encompasses it. So I click on my heading up here, click on that, and then I can make this thing wider. So I'm going to, so it has all the words there. And then I just put in the numbers. Okay, so 1963. So I have a keypad on mine. So make sure that I have my number lock in, and then 1963. Then I go down, and 1970. Go down in 1975, and you could enter the data by going across if you'd like to. 1980. So finally I have all my data. I made all those mistakes, so it might be better just to go back and forth, and that way you won't have as many mistakes as I did. So the next thing you're going to do is you're just going to left click, and you're just going to highlight all this. Then you go up to your Insert tab. Actually, let's make this a little bit bigger just so that you can see everything. I'm a little bit nervous you won't see everything. So I go up to my Insert tab, and I'm going to go to not line graph, I'm going to go to a scatter graph. And the one I want is I want the one that has a line curve to it. I don't want the points, so I'm going to do this one here so it doesn't have the points. And there's my graph, and I'm done with that. And I can push this up here so I can look at it later. Okay, then I can go to my next set of data. So I'm going to go ahead and make this smaller. And I go down and I do the same thing, but for this data. So let's go ahead and we'll start it right here. So I'm going to year, and then TYPICA, VARIATION. And the reason I wanted it here is because I can make these a little bit longer, and the other ones I can't as easily. So I don't want this to be hard in any way. So CARBONARIA, variation. And then click on it and I make that bigger. And then you just go ahead and you enter the information again. Okay, so now I have all my data in there. And again, all I have to do is I left click on my pad and I highlight everything. And then I go to my insert button. Make it this bigger. I go to my insert button. And again, I don't want a line graph. You could do that, but it gets really weird. You want scatter graphs. Scatter graphs is what you want. In this case, I have two lines, and I would know I want peaks and valleys in them, so I'm going to use this one that has peaks on it. And there's my data there. Now, this data is starting down here and going here, so I'm actually going to highlight this and make this a little bit different. So I can do two things here. I can go up to Chart Tools, or I can right-click. So let's just try the Chart Tools and see. So Chart. There we go. And I want the vertical axis. And what I want is I want my vertical axis to have a minimum of not 0. It's going up to 0.9. So I'm going to start this a little bit higher. Start at 0.5. There, now my graph a little bit smaller so I can read it better. So now I can go ahead and answer my questions. So what you can do is, okay, so next, how do you go ahead and put in your questions? So let's go ahead and show you. So what you can do is, we have our first question right here, and I'm just going to copy them right into this document over here. Right, so let me make this bigger so you can see it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them down here. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to say I want, that should be enough space. I think I can go all the way over if you want. So I have one there, and I go up to my home and I click on merge, and I don't want them to be centered, so I'm going to merge cells, and then I'm going to click on this again and I'm going to wrap text. Okay, so now I go ahead and I go back to my question. I highlight it, Control C. So what will happen when I text wrap it? If I get to the end, it will just keep going and make my whole thing. So if I don't text wrap it, it just keeps going and going and going. But this way it keeps it, and then I will have the answer there. Now I think I can actually make this bigger even. What happens if I went down? I merge those cells. Yeah, so you can merge more cells and get it so I can see the answer and the question. So you can go ahead and play with that, but I want the question and the answer in here also so that we don't have to have a separate document. And it's good for you to practice doing these things. So you can do the same thing for the next. Looks like I just killed my document. So, but again, I can show you what to do for the question. So you would go ahead and highlight the area that you want. That's a pretty big question, so I'll make it fairly big. And I push in my merge. I need to make this bigger so I can see it. So I go to my home. There's a merge right here. So I merge cells. I go back and I get my question. Control C. Double click. Control V. Right, and then I can go up and I make sure that I wrap text. And then it should wrap text, and if I want to make that bigger, I can. I just highlight it and go down, and then home, merge cells, and there we go. All right, so play with that. Hopefully you'll be able to get the 4 questions. There aren't, it's only 4. So what color are the moths? What did the population of light moths decreased from 1963 to 1965. So why did it decrease? And again, there'll be some information in this here, so you'll want to read that. According to the text, why did the dark moth increase? Does the graph support this assumption? So looking at the graph, does it support this? So the question is, in 2006, the dark moths survived better than the light moths. So in 2006, here's the dark moths, and they're surviving slightly better than the light moths. Right? So I want you to think of an explanation that would explain this phenomena. And again, you have to think outside the box. What other environmental factors might be going on so that the dark moths might survive better just on that 1 year than the light moths, where in other cases they didn't survive better. And again, the reason they didn't survive better is covered in the reading. It's also in the pictures on the page. If you have any other additional questions, please contact me, your science teacher. And again, if you really get frustrated, go ahead and submit 2 documents, answers on one, questions and answers on one, and the graphs on another. But hopefully you can put this all together. It'll be good for you. And again, how would you share it? You go up to the share button, click, and then it'll bring up a copy link, and you'll copy that link and submit it into your Canvas web page. Right? But if you need to, go ahead and put the questions on another Word document and submit that also. Good luck.